So, your vote was absolutely obvious, and you guys are wanting to have birds in Planet Zoo. Now, this video is going to show you something very special. We are going to look at birds in Planet Zoo created by AI. Yes, hold on. I mean, people are a little bit, concerned towards AI, but I'm gonna explain what exactly I did here. So you can see already this wonderful snow owl in the background in a Planet Zoo setting. Now, what I did is I did feed a AI model or an AI model with some of my screenshots, to be fair. Special thanks to our sponsor of today's video and the sponsor of the channel. Instant Gaming is a wonderful platform on which you can get your favorite games to a great value. Here you've got 24/7 support, you've got over 10,000 games at your hand, and you can find them very simple via a search bar, just like our Planet games over here. Or if you fancy, have a look at Cities, for example. Everything is here, including all the DLCs you wish to have. So special thanks again to Instant Gaming. Link is in the description. If you want to grab a game, please click there and have fun. More than 50 screenshots that I've taken in Planet Zoo, and then I started to prompt some animals, locations, birds, whatever, and you can see this is done by lensgo.ai. I left the obvious watermark in, so it's all obvious this is not real, but I want to utilize that to talk about a lot of things regarding these animals. Now, keep in mind, these animals are obviously not even close to what Planet Zoo would model them like, but I have to say it did a tremendous job in capturing the art style of Planet Zoo, so it's very close in the art style, even though the realism of the animals is potentially not the best out there. But at the first glance, you can really see certain things, and I must say I love this boulder here to the right hand side too. But this one over here could actually be a created indoor aviary in the winter time, which has an open like netting maybe on top, and this is why there's also snow in here. And you can see there's like a kind of whatever this game came up with, this program came up with, like look at that. It's like almost like a little perching point over here with some hanging perching things. Now, I want to say, before I dive into more of the pictures, I think the reason that you guys are all in for birds is very much obvious that this is one thing we don't have in the game. With full aquatics, we are very close to it because we do have diving animals and we can come up with creative ways to create like tanks and stuff like that. But with birds, we are completely lost. We do have the walkthrough exhibits, but I think if we want to have real birds, there's only one thing the game needs to change, and that is we only need a new fence type. And this would obviously be the aviary type. Just the same way as we are creating tanks and water volumes, we would need to create air volumes, and these would be done, in at least in my opinion, with a simple new fence type, and that fence type is going to be aviary. Now you can then guide an outline and it automatically creates a connection on top, like a roof, and then potentially you could even choose between 2 or 3 styles, like a flat netting roof, a flat mesh roof, and then have like a pointy kind of like straight and tilted roof, with having the netting go a bit higher in the middle. Stuff like that you do see in real zoos. I think this would be the easiest way, or the other way around could obviously be that the area to the top is always endless, and the animals would technically be able to escape then, and your job is to capture them by having an actually man-made aviary by putting down ropes and stuff, simply because we do have some netting in the game now and we would get some new art pieces. Now this, for example, over here could be, in my imagination, something like that. In the background you have some, window frames or stuff like that, and then on top you would have like these wooden beams here, and they would be connected by some netting. Let's go to the next picture. This one is a little bit of a different one. Obviously you don't see any netting over here and certain things are weird, but this indoor section over here could be like a tropical bird section, and then you've got this wonderful parrot here to the right hand side. I must say this one looks freaking nice. Don't mind these weird things in the background, it's AI, but I love the fact that we see some of the things, also like a palm tree like that I would definitely not mind having in the game. But yeah, so you can definitely tell that this looks really cool if we would have some parrots sitting, perching on these areas like so. Really big fan of it. If we take a look at the next one, this is potentially the one with the most unrealistic animals in here, but I do like these little aviary type of things over here. I think you guys, you've seen all the tours I did, you've seen a lot of different tours other people did. The community is absolutely freaking great in capturing these like little aviary type things in zoos, but they're all empty, or they are featuring like these kind of little item created or item based you know, statues. I want to say it's like not even like a animatronic, it's like a statue. But I like the fact how you have this solved over here with these things. You can clearly tell that this is like a like glass roof, but then you also have these things. I think they should be like these kind of nettings that leave some air through, but they're also pretty thick so that smaller animals cannot escape. Really big fan of it. Also like an aviary entrance like that, and I can totally see this being a completely new piece set over here. See, that is something that we do actually need in the game. And then either the people can just go in here, or you see that from the outside. This over here could be like a viewing gallery. You don't really see that from behind here, but I imagine this would be a lovely little viewing point. Really, you know, what I think this does in a perfect way is it gives inspiration how an aviary pack, or how aviaries in general with actually flying animals would change Planet Zoo, and I'm a big fan of that. Let's go to the next one, because I just adore that one. There's Hawk over here. There's like a weird one sitting here to the left, not really sure why, but this is the best one I picked out of the ones they created, the AI created. And yet again, it looks so cool having these birds like, you know, perching on a piece of stone over here. Not sure what that on left hand side over here would be, but also like a cool idea of a whatever netting in the back here. I've seen the lady designer, for example, do that with a Jaguar build inspired from the Netherlands, like way bigger, but they also had like a structure like this with the netting. And I think, if I'm not completely wrong, I also saw Lida do something like that in the past, and really love that. Again, big fan of the trees. I would love some more of these trees, but yeah, I mean, just imagine we would have a bird like that in here, like a wonderful Cooper's Hawks, for example. Just that just blew me away when the AI came up with this one, because it just like, it looks as if Planet Zoo would have this one in. It just really fits in the style. Same goes for that one, even though the animal itself is a bit weird. The briefing was a vulture, obviously. It just didn't really get this done in the way I hoped it was, but as you can tell, the style, the model, and how the habitat looks is definitely Planet Zoo style. Let me just also quickly talk about, yet again, this is all based on the textures and the look of Planet Zoo. You can clearly tell that. But oh man, this shows me yet again, how much I would love to have a new rock set, like with a couple of new rock, you know, geometries and stuff like that. I love the rocks we have in game, but oh man, these are so repetitive once you've built them a bajillion times. So I really would love to have that. But in general, I'm pretty much in love with how that looks over here, because just imagine having a vulture in this game. Like, you would need a freaking huge aviary. But I wonder also what would happen if you leave them roaming around in the free kind. I don't know if you could like do like a fake bird show, for example, by, you know, going into sandbox mode and then just disable escapes and kind of make like a huge habitat for them in which they can fly around. I will talk in a second about perching points again, because I think this is a second mega change they need to do in the game, but let me just talk about that in a second. This is like purely fictional, but I thought this is the closest I could get to show you how this would impact the game without actually having an impact in the game, because we don't have a birds pack, and frankly I don't think we get one. But you know, I think we can still dream and have hope. So let's go to my favorite one, and this is that one over here. This is one of the first ones I let AI create, and that one just blew me out of the park, because this is the closest model I could get I'm not sure what that in the back here is. Just don't look at that. Let's have a look like that. This is freaking gorgeous. This is exactly how I would see Frontier doing an owl. I absolutely think this is spot on. Yes, a couple of things are not perfectly proportions and stuff like that, but if you ignore that for a second, this could be a promotional shot for Planet Zoo Aviary Pack. Just imagine that, and this is most likely going to be the thumbnail of this video anyways, but imagine they would do this, and this is the pack cover. I mean, the likeliness of people to buy it would just go through the roof. I also love the fact that they have like a new gate type over here, and we do also have these, you can clearly tell it did learn how I build fences and stuff and use the pieces. It's super inspiring to see how AI comes up with these things based on what I build, because obviously I didn't took Planet Zoo or other people's images. I took the ones I took myself from buildings I built myself, so just to be sure. And also in the back here, that this is like a huge area where they live in, maybe like the indoor section, and then you have them outside for like a bird show or for like making them fly in the wild as well. So like, you know, you have these regions in which they partially live in the wild. So really would love to see that. And oh, this shot over here is awesome. But yeah, now let's talk about perching in a second, because this is one of the things that next to the new fence type needs to be added to the game, and this is definitely perching options. Now, you know it maybe if you've played Jurassic World Evolution 2, you know exactly what I mean by that, but if you didn't, here's a little catch. In Jurassic World Evolution 2, you do have to put down elements inside of the aviaries to which or on which the animals can land, or perch to be more precise. They can't do this on all the things. They have a couple of trees in there now on which they can do it, a couple of rocks on which they can do it, but also have some specific perching points. And honestly, it's somewhat the same as with climbable assets. So not sure if the climbable assets would equally be, or at the same time be perchable assets, or whatever you want to call them. But I would also be totally fine with having a roster of, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 very basic perching points, like perching, I don't know, like a pole, like a straight piece, whatever, and then you can style them after your own likeliness and liking, and just recolor them as you wish, and then just put a, I don't know, put a whatever, a branch on top of it, or whatever you want to do, like a netting. I don't know, but that would be awesome. So I think the step that Planet Zoo needs to take in order to bring these animals in isn't really that dramatically big. We do have actually birds in the game, so to not forget about that. We obviously have the flamingos, we have ostriches and stuff like that. We even have flamingos and peafowls that do a little jump fly. I want to call that jump fly, which is more than just a jump. And I think the animation is really cool, and I have seen them lately doing that more often than not. I don't know if that's anything to say, or if that's just my own mind playing tricks on me, but I think the animations are already pretty spot on and it looks cool, and I would absolutely not mind them just going up in the air and doing some actual flying. And if we would wonder if Frontier is capable of doing the navigation, well, they already did in Jurassic World Evolution, and in fact they also did with diving. And to be a bit more, you know, technically, we have one last image, by the way. And this is the hummingbird, which I'm a total fan of in general. And just that one over here could potentially be an exhibit animal. This could be within one of the walkthrough exhibits. I'd be totally fine with that. Having a birds pack, and this would be the exhibit animal, the walkthrough exhibit animal. Totally fine, you know, do it that way. But just to stick with the point, if we just try to forget about birds and animations and stuff like that and just look at the core game, how pathfinding, or how they call this the locomotion system, works is the same. It's basically the same how diving works, because diving is a locomotion within a volume, a fixed volume. So the game is able to calculate the water volume available. So in fact, what the game would only need is a calculatable you know, air volume, if you will, and the same methods apply, because within that volume they would need, for example, if you just go completely the same way as with diving, smaller birds would have a 2 by 2 by 2 meters requirement in order to start flying, you know, and bigger ones would go up until 4 by 4 by 4 meters, the same as diving, you know, as like, for example, the small clawed otter requires a 2 by 2 by 2 in order to start diving, to have the deep dive mechanic enabled, while alligators or, I don't know, seals, oh, I think seals are 3 meters, but like the big ones, you know, crocodiles and polar bears and stuff, and all of these, they require 4 by 4 by 4 at least to be able to dive. And I think this would be the same with the vulture, for example, requiring 4 by 4 by 4 meters in order to start flying. And within this 4 by 4 by 4, obviously, you shouldn't have too many obstacles in order to make sure that they do fly in a fine way. And then you have the exact same thing. The only thing, and this is why I was specifically talking about perching, you don't have diving animals stop in inside of the water, you know? There's not like a whatever stop area in which you would be underwater. So this is definitely something that breaks the locomotion. It's not like they're free flying the whole time and then landing back on the ground. You would need to have different landing options for them. But I seriously, I can't imagine that this is so much of a difference. It's basically just searching for that end animation point, and then basically it's just somewhere else, but it wouldn't actually be exactly the same as if you put some rocks inside of the water and all of a sudden there's a different way to exit the water. The game can actually do the same, so why would that be different? So yeah, in general, I think these two things need to apply. A completely new fence type that requires either us to build a roof ourselves or create the roof automatically with different styles maybe, just to ensure that there is a certain volume of air created within the habitat. Within you can build, obviously, and building pieces will take away from the overall volume, and you will require, again, just at the same, it's again the same as with diving. You require to have a certain amount of square meters or cubic meters of air available for them to fly, and then the same struggle as always applies to not put rocks in because they block everything. But the second thing would actually be perching points or having trees and stuff change into perching options, and then we finally would get it. Now I want to end the video on the question how likely it is to actually get this game. Let's go back to the snowy owl. I just love that one. It's just so. But I want to go to my favorite one. Okay, let's stick at the favorite shot for the final conclusion. I really do think that it's maybe 1% of a chance to get birds. But if we look at the financial situation of Frontier at the moment, and maybe the gaming industry as a whole, something like this would definitely would not be the worst idea they could do. As I said, I don't think it's super complicated. Yes, it would. I mean, if they have never planned doing an aviary pack, which, to be honest, if they didn't, I would be super confused. Like, there was a rumor for a while before Planet Coaster was released that they wouldn't do wooden coasters. Nice. Because it was too complicated. And during the whole alpha and beta, there was never a sign of wooden coasters or even water rides. And then with launch, they brought everything in, and the wooden coaster potentially was one of the greatest things of Planet Coaster, because they just completely innovated the way how they would be done in a game. Lovely stuff. But without this, Planet Coaster would have felt super unfinished, because you can't have a theme park game without a wooden coaster. That just doesn't work. But this equally, you can't have a zoo game without birds, like actually proper birds. And I'm not sure if they haven't really thought about that at all. I just can't imagine. So if there is a basis for that, and I would see the struggle, and I would see that Planet Zoo sells well, but not as well as it could, I would go for birds. Now, back to the beginning, where I said that the little research I did, or basically the little questionnaire I did with you guys, the survey, the birds came up as clear winners. I think it's understandable, just to sum it all up, because we are craving for finishing this game, to really have a whole game. As I said, we can somehow deal with the aquatics, but we can't with the birds. And with a pack like that, with a vulture, maybe a hawk, wonderful aviary pieces, maybe a parrot, maybe an owl, and the wonderful hummingbird as a walkthrough exhibit animal, that would be it. That would be the absolute mega pack to bring back people. Do you agree? If you do agree, let me know in the comments down below. And if you don't, go down there too and tell me, first of all, which type of animals you would love to see in there, or why you wouldn't want birds, and what else you would need to get back to Planet Zoo. Because let's be honest, let's face it, Planet Zoo has lost a lot of interest by a lot of people, unfortunately. And you can see that in the player base, you can see that in the interest in YouTube videos as a whole, and you can also see that in the interest in DLCs. Now, you know, I've said everything, I guess. I really hope you enjoyed this very different video, and let me know in the comments down below if you want to see the same, maybe also done with other animals for the game, or maybe with aquatics. So let me know. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one, and goodbye.